welcome to the show. I'm Joyce McDonald. Each week, 617 Boston will be looking at performing and creative arts events in the Boston area. We want to give you the opportunity to sample some of the arts in a way that we hope you find both interesting and stimulating. So sit back and enjoy the show.
These white bandits jumped down from above and started shooting at us. Bing, bing, bam! I saw these two big rocks. I threw myself in between. Undercover, I started shooting. Bam! I looked out. My leg, my left one, was out in the open. Ah, damn, let's hope they don't see me. Bam!
If I reveal the secret, never! May my tongue be ripped out by its roots. Aye! And my heart be devoured by vultures. Swear! Brother Plotnik, raise your right hand.
The 5th Annual Boston Film Festival is running September 14th through 21st at the Lowe's Copley Place. We're going to be speaking with Michael Romer, who wrote and directed the highly acclaimed film, The Plot Against Harry.
I'm sorry, Harry. I was picking up your shirts, and I couldn't find a place to park.
They're fakes, Max. All you had is 9 months.
People who are Jewish, I think, tend to look at it like a whole movie. You know, it's like a part of the Jewish community that isn't usually filmed. And other people enjoy it because I think it's a fair amount of fun, you know, and it's got a, I don't know how you thought about it, but one of the things I liked about it when I saw it again recently was I think it's got a high energy level. You know, it's not slow or thin. It's fairly dense film, you know, and I think that's what keeps it going.
I always knew you'd be the death of us, Harry.
Okay.
Margie, this is your father.
Last time I saw you, you were 3.
I liked simply all the changes in it, all the textures, you know, going from one kind of place and one kind of human being to another, and still seeing how all of them are connected through money, for instance, you know, tremendous sort of cash nexus feeling, you know.
Yes,
I like that. I think that's true.
A year ago, Jimmy was in this wheelchair. Your money set him free. So please, get on that phone.
I actually had an experience like Harry's of being told that I had a very serious illness about 4 or 5 years after I made the movie. And for 2 days I thought, well, you know, I got to see myself through this grim prospect of having what my father died of. But it turned out to be a false diagnosis, and 2 days after I was told, they took the burden off me, and so in an odd way that has happened to me on several occasions.
Let go. Holding on to a dream is sharing paradise. My darling, let's think twice before we awake. from a love like ours that goes way beyond the stars to a land unknown, but to lovers alone, holding on with our hearts is holding.
I like pinball anyway. Contemporary man expects to be entertained. I can live with that one. I'm here at the ICA for the Situationists exhibition. I must say, it's lots of fun, very interesting. Lots of interesting video, art, lots of great things. Of course, my favorite is the pinball machine, if you'll excuse me.
The exhibit is about a group, the Situationists, and the dates particularly of that group are, they began in '57, they were officially over in 1972. And the group was centered in Europe, France mainly, but also Germany, Italy, and Scandinavia. And we brought it here because there were a couple of things that were interesting about it. First of all, it emphasized this idea of spectacle.
We will not lead, we will only detonate.
The second thing was that they were very involved at the end of the 60s with the uprisings of '68 which took place, student uprisings which took place all over Europe. And being the anniversary of '68, we thought this was an historic period we would look back on.
The time for art is over.
What would some examples of Situationist, what would be some examples that have rubbed off on today's society, say even in America?
The slogans, this idea that that difficult political ideas can sort of be boiled down into slogans.
Wait, this isn't the same one. You're so mean.
And then this concentration on the spectacle, on the media, on advertising, you know, on soap commercials, and this and that has been just like enormously taken up as a kind of site of parody by lots of artists and even by people in the industry now.
Boredom is always counter-revolutionary.
If we do not want to participate in the spectacle of the end of the world, we will have to work toward the end of the world of the spectacle. And I didn't quote that properly. I put a "the" where there wasn't supposed to be.
It's a little confusing here. It's kind of loud and a lot going on, kind of like being in the wilds of Africa. I'm here at the Paradise in Boston, and Youssou N'Dour is performing tonight, and he has a fascinating type of music, kind of a mix of African and pop and jazz, an interesting kind of thing to dance to, kind of to be swept away with.
Hi, my name is Youssou. I introduce my very good brother Babakar and Hassan. We do some traditional rhythm. Let's go. Ready? Yeah. Let's go. commencé à chanter très jeune.
I began singing when I was very young, about 12 years old. And since my family are traditional Creote, my mother was known to sing quite frequently. So naturally I began singing as well, with her, with my friends, with bands in the neighborhood, and with other people in the area. When I was in France in 1984, I was lucky enough to meet Peter Gabriel after he had come to a concert of mine. He was very impressed with my music and enjoyed listening to my songs and to my voice. He then came over to Senegal a few months later and we became friends and found that we got along very well and started to know each other very well. He then asked me to sing with him on his concert tour, and I was lucky enough to open for him on his world tour of the album So.
Half Italian and half Irish. So I get like really drunk and then I steal from myself. My mother's the Italian in the family. My father took her prisoner during World War II. He was stationed in the north end of Boston. Italian mothers are the greatest women in the world, except they have two small problems: the little mustache and the house coat. My mother's got 400 house coats in the drawer with the ticket still on them. She ain't wearing them the one rag that matches the fuzzy slippers. And Italian mothers, they want to feed the world. If you're under 3,000 pounds, my mother thinks you're starving to death. All the time it's, did you eat? I ate. 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 Did you eat? Bar, it's 4 in the morning. She says, yes, but did you eat? She lives in the fear it's going to come on the news. Local entertainer Dick Doherty was found dead today. Autopsy reveals his stomach was empty. His mother is being sought for questioning. Film at 11. Italian mothers, they're great. You walk through the door of my house, you say hi, she sticks around.
There's a lot to do in Boston, so I'm going to tell you a few things that are happening, and you can go see them if you'd like. Many interesting things. Marcel Carné is a French director who has recently been rediscovered. He's even won a prestigious Japanese Film Award. There will be a showing of his films from the 3rd of this month to the 7th of this month at the French Library. Also, the Kronos Quartet will be performing at the Berkeley Performance Center on the 12th. And there are all new shows for the new Rocky and Bullwinkle Salute, which is at the Somerville Theater. If you went to the last one, you know how much fun they are, what a gas they can be. That will be on the 4th. Also, Pat Paulson, who has run for president a lot of times, I don't know how many. He's also a comedian. The two seem to go together for some reason. He'll be performing at Catch a Rising Star from the 7th to the 11th. And finally, Marc Reboul, who is a French photographer, is having his photographs shown at the Photographic Resource Center. He will also be giving a lecture about his work on the 10th. So, I have to go shopping, so see you later.
The exhibition of 12 artists from the German Democratic Republic is housed in 2 distinct spaces. I've just come from the Fog, and I'm heading for the Sackler. Given the recent events in East Germany, it's a particularly poignant exhibition. And unlike those individuals risking life and limb to cross from east to west, your only fear in getting across is of notorious Boston drivers. The first work that you see happens to be Ziegler's Soviet Soldiers, 1987. Was there a reason that you presented that first?
Oh, yes, there's a particular reason that painting is at the start of the show. It's in the exhibition at all because of its aesthetic quality. We thought it was a very interesting and impressive painting in and of itself. We decided to hang it as a keynote painting, as it were, because we thought it introduced people to many of the themes of the exhibition.
To be in Leipzig, up to 50,000 people in the streets, according to sources in that city, which has been closed off to outsiders. This after a weekend of often brutal police crackdowns. NBC's Jim Bitterman tonight on these remarkable times in East Germany.
Part of the power of this art is that for cultural reasons, East German art seems able to address issues of anxiety and even despair, almost pessimism, about the position of the human in the world today, the extremely fragile position.
Faced with a riot control apparatus of a scale and organization never before seen in East Germany until recent days, some demonstrators sit down to chant their demands for greater freedom, but they appeal for no violence.
The spotlight of attention in East Germany in the past couple of months has taught a lot of us that people who stay are as honorable often as people who leave, and that as many of the artists in the exhibition, if not all of them, are precisely those who have decided to stay and to work for change within East Germany, and who are committed to building a society that can live up to its own ideals.
It's not very often that a woman gets to dance this close to a man who doesn't step on her toes. I've found that man, and his name is Bob Thomas, and he runs swing dance parties with instruction every weekend night here in Boston. Right now, I'm going to ask him to take it away, Bob.
In Boston, there's probably 300 or 400 people that are very much into swing dancing on some level or another. They'll go out dancing, I'd say, once a month. There's 300 or 400 people that will go out swing dancing at least once a month. So there's a definite core crowd of people that love it. And then there's a lot of people that like the music and they like watching it, so they'll drop in. When you get to be about 25, you feel an estrangement from the popular music. I mean, you listen to the radio, and it's fine to listen to it on the radio, but to go out dancing when you're 30 years old or 35, who wants to go out dancing and dance to Janet Jackson anymore? You know, it's disco music. And you know it's disco music because you know you were there for the disco era. Right. And the disco era is gone, and here's disco music. So what are you going to do? Let's do something new. Let's do something that's a sense of evolution.
I got the mean old blue suede, you ruined my blue suede shoes. You took my blue suede shoes down to old Mobile, started into doing the boogie run. I'm over at the hill, well you ruined my blue suede shoes.
The jitterbug and tap is it's American, and it's like everybody's just sort of ignoring it. It's like it's going by the wayside. And even tap dancing, at least some of the older tap dancers who are very good are people are making histories, doing things with them, you know, sort of documenting stuff. But Jitterbug's being totally ignored. California is trying to make swing the state dance. On the East Coast here, people, it's like, you know, people keep saying, gee, it's sort of getting revived.
Yeah.
It's been sort of getting revived for a couple of years.
It does seem to have been being revived. How long would it take a beginner like me to get to the point to taking your classes and coming to your dances to be really comfortable doing this kind of dancing?
Suppose you put an hour a week into it, 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No.
Learning curve's pretty good. Like I said, the first 2 hours are the worst. It's when everything's new that it's tough. Once you get started, then it's easy. It sort of self-perpetuates.
Okay, well, we're going to dance off into the crowd. Thanks for your time. It's been great talking to you, Bob.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Parts of it were fun, Bob.
Yeah, I won't throw you this time.
No, you won't throw me this time.
The Charlestown Working Theater is known for its performances of original and international works, and certainly Foe's Fables by Dario Fo is no exception. The first act is The Diary of Eve, an alternative interpretation of Genesis. The second fable is an ancient Chinese story about a tiger and a man who befriends it. Dario Fo recently updated that last story following the Tiananmen Square massacre.
When we came down from Manchuria with the 4th and the 8th Armies and almost all of the 7th, we were marching day and night, thousands and thousands of us, loaded with packs, dirty, exhausted, and we kept going with horses that couldn't keep up, and we ate the horses. We ate the donkeys that dropped dead. We ate the dogs. And when there wasn't anything else to eat, we ate the cats, the lizards, the rats. Imagine the dysentery that came of it all. I think for centuries to come, that path will have the tallest, greenest grass in the world.
Both plays are reworkings of ancient legends. The story of the tiger is an ancient 5th century Chinese legend about a man who gets nursed by tigers and brought back to health. And the story of Adam and Eve is an ancient story from the Bible. And Dario has a way of taking these ancient stories and filtering them through his comic sensibilities and making them appear relevant to what's going on today. I mean, not making them appear relevant, but actually make them relevant, because the real good ancient stories keep coming back because they do have an archetypal resonance.
Wednesday, I see a majestic bird that soared in wide circles above our head. I'm sure its name was not in my mind before that moment. It came to me like a lightning. Look at the eagle, I shouted enthusiastically. So he said, aha, this time I also knew that this bird was a seagull. What a blunder. What should I have done? Corrected him, I let it pass.
There was about a 6-month period of working on the translation that began last spring when I saw the events happening in Tiananmen Square and realized that Dario's play about the story of the tiger, which had been written in 1981, was suddenly becoming relevant again because of the new wave of repression that was occurring in China. I worked over the summer with Dario in Italy on updating that play and prepared it over the summer and began working with Tommy Dara on it in August. And we started the productions at the end of September. You could almost look at the play as being prophetic, because Dario didn't have to change very much to have the party leaders appear to be saying the same things in the play than they actually had said in Tiananmen Square.
And then all the party leaders came around, all the leaders waving flags in their hands and applauding. Some are with the party, some are with the army, the upper-level intermediary officials, the upper-level central intermediaries, and they all cheered and shouted, "Good work! Good work! You did the right thing to disobey. The tiger must always be with the people, because the tiger is of the people, an invention of the people. The tiger must always remain with the people, forever, in a museum. No, in a zoo."
Hi, I'm Ted Topple. Oh, there we are. Sorry, that's really silly. All right.
Tammy! I have sinned before you, Tammy. I have sinned before you, Jesus! And Becky Joe, and Carla, Barney Frank, and Big Bruno with the rubber whips.
I can't. Oh, that's too funny. I don't know. Music these days seems like it's relying more on synthesizers than the lyrics or the actual human emotions to get across the feeling. Sometimes don't you just feel like throwing all this techno stuff away? Well, one band, the Throwing Muses, has done just that. And they're in the middle of recording their next album, and they're going to make some secret concert appearances here in Boston within the next few weeks. And if I hear anything, you'll be the first to know.
I think Hung Papa, our last album, really was the culmination of many years' work, and it brought together all the styles, all the approaches, and even a lot of the content we've been dealing with in the past. And we knew that beyond that we were going to move on and do something entirely different. So the material really asked for a different approach. You know, if you want to experience art, you got to close your eyes sometimes. If you want to experience music, you got to plug your ears sometimes. I think emotions are right next to that. And that's the way we all relate to each other. That's what I share with everyone. They don't share my life, they don't share my situation or my experiences, but that's what I feel in common with everyone else, regardless of culture, age, etc.
My counsel to you is to just give it up.
That's what I said to his son when his son was caned, and now his son is dead. That's what I thought about Gordon when he was jailed, and now he is dead because of my neglect. I cannot give it up.